So welcome everyone to session 3 of Living Your Best Life. This session will be focusing on it's time to let go and be free, which is something that's very important, especially in this time and period that we're living in. So just to remind in terms of the format of these sessions. So we have the tools part where I'll go through a few slides, and then afterwards we'll have a chance to kind of discuss the topics and the areas that I'll be raising today in this webinar. And hopefully this session will again be able to unlock insight into certain areas of things that, we can let go of, things that we need to, reflect over and process, so that hopefully we'll be able to be more informed and have less baggage in our minds and on our shoulders. So just a quick recap over last week. We looked at the 3 P's that drive us. And the first one was about passion. And it was about that drive and that desire and that enthusiasm that we have towards things that motivates us to want to do stuff and to overcome challenges. And that it's really important that you find your passion and do things that feel your passion, because your passion is what is your energy. So it gives you that ability to do things to a great degree. Then we also looked at purpose. And, it's really important that we all find our purpose, because your purpose is what connects you to your why. And your why is the reasoning behind, it's the deep passion behind the things that you do. It's the reason why you're able to do things with a spirit of excellence. It's the reason why, you will do things that will line up with your values and your principles, because it's your purpose. It's something that's deeply rooted within you. And then the last P we looked at, which was perseverance. And this is key in order to achieve success in any shape, way, or form. So it's that grit and that tenacity and that determination to not give up until you achieve your objective. Yeah, it's, as the example says there, it's perseverance is failing 19 times and succeeding on the 20th time. It's that thing that gives you that ability to keep going in spite of setbacks. And so, it's really important that we are mindful of those 3 Ps and we allow them to guide us and lead us and direct us as we go forwards. So on to today. And I think one of the first things that's really important is that we are able to recognize and identify that we are not Atlas. And anyone who knows about what Atlas is a Greek god who basically carried the world on his shoulders. And what can happen in life is that we can sometimes end up carrying the world on our shoulders, carrying the fears, the worries, and the anxieties, not just of our own, but of everyone else. We take on everyone else's problem, we carry their burdens, and we can't do it. It's too much, and it makes life become too much and unmanageable for us. And so it's really important that we recognize that we are not that Titan god of endurance, strength, and astrology. You are you, an individual. And so we have to be able to balance what we're taking on and what we're letting go of. And when we hold on to everything, it becomes too much for us mentally, physically, and spiritually. And we end up with our battery being low, being in the red zone. And that manifests itself in fatigue, in tiredness, in headaches, in brain fog, in snapping, in relationships being affected. And so it's really important that we recognize and that we begin to let go of some of the things that we are carrying, because it's become a burden to us. And so Atlas is also an acronym that helps us to understand how we can change this scenario and this situation. And the first stage of that is acceptance. We have to be able to accept our limitations. We have to be able to accept the things that are, it's not our role to hold on to those. We have to accept the facts that we can't do it all. We have to accept the fact that we have to let go of some things in order to live our best life. And after that accepting, we have to start to talk up. We have to be able to say when someone's trying to put their burdens on us, sorry, that's not my stuff. You can hold on to that. It's about talking up for yourself. It's about being able to assertively own situations that are yours and pass back the situations that someone else's. And that just because someone says something doesn't mean that it's true. And so we can accept that's their baggage and that's coming from their issues and not take that on for ourselves. But most importantly, we have to be able to speak up for ourselves. If any of us want to live our best life, you have to be able to speak up for yourself and value you. And then the L stands for learn. So learn from your past. Learn from the mistakes that got you to this place now. Learn from the victories that you were able to overcome. Learn from every situation and use that to empower yourself to do better the next time. A is for action. So it doesn't matter how much planning you do, how much preparation you do, how much research you do, how much you understand a process, a situation, a circumstance. Action is the universal language that everyone understands. You have to put things into action. You have to do in order to change. And so with what you accept and you start to talk up about and you learn about, put that all into action. With what we're going to explore and look at today and talk about, put it into action. And only then do you succeed. And so it's really important that we begin to let go, recognize our limitations, recognize the stuff that's not our own that we've took on and taken on as our own, and begin to let go. And sometimes in life there can be certain situations that it's very hard for us to let go of. Whether it's relationships, whether it's offenses, whether it's fears, worries, anxieties. There's lots of things that sometimes we're holding on to, the past. And what we don't realize is that holding on to it does more damage than letting it go, as the picture shows there. And so it's really important that we are able to learn to let go of things. Let go of the mistakes that you've made. Let go of the guilt and shame that sometimes we hold on to because of things of our past. And it's those things that are keeping us from moving forwards. There's a saying that says a head filled with fears and worries has no space for hopes and dreams. And so it's really important that we are able to let go of stuff because it just keeps us bound and chained and stuck. And so it can hurt to let go, but sometimes it hurts more to hold on to things, to hold on to broken relationships, to hold on to the fears and the worries and the anxiety. Yes, it can be fearful to step forward into unknown territory, but sometimes it can hurt more to stay stuck in a situation that will not change because you will not move out of your comfort zone. And so there's all these different areas, thoughts, our feelings, of guilt and shame, past, and mistakes. Sometimes even in jobs, we can be in a job that is outdated in terms of you and what you want and what you desire. But we hold on to it because it's a safety net. And relationships as well, whether it's partner, friends, even sometimes certain family members. And we're holding on, but it's causing more hurt. And it's really important, and going back to the atlas, we have to accept that change isn't easy. Growth is painful. Change is painful, but nothing is as painful as staying stuck somewhere where you don't belong. And sometimes life can get the better of us and, throw some really hard punches in the stomach that keep us stuck in places where we don't belong. And we end up looking like this. You're like stuck in a bottle, can't go anywhere, can't move forward until we begin to let go. And I think another really important area that we have to free ourselves from is the voices of people, the voices of the past, the voices of what people have said to us, hurtful things, malicious things, things that was not true. And it's time to release all the echoes of those words that were previously spoken over your life. You would always be a failure. You can't do it. No one will love you. You'll never be able to make it. You would always be this way. All the things that people say. And they have a long-lasting impact. And sometimes we don't realize we are still holding on to the things of what people have said in our past. And they're preventing us from going on to our future. I've worked with clients in the past who was in their 40s and 50s, and they were still saying something that a teacher said to them in primary or secondary school still haunts them to this day. And so it's really important that we understand that those voices, we need to let go. Those words which were spoken that were not true, we need to let go. And so one of the things why it's so hard to do that at times is because of how the brain works. So there is a part called the anterior cingulate cortex, and it's this part of the brain that processes physical pain and emotional pain the exact same way. What does that mean? It means that a broken foot is registered exactly the same way as a broken heart. There is no difference between the two. And this is why words are so powerful. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. There is people who have emotional scars that are much deeper than any physical scar that they may have obtained. And this is why the things that people speak into our lives and the things that you speak over yourself can be to your success or your detriment. And so to bring this in context, let's look at how this works. So I've numbered it to help you see the process. So number one is the anterior cingulate cortex. This is where affect takes place. So the pain, whether it's physical or emotional or psychological, where that pain takes effect, and it causes selective attention, i.e. to focus on that pain. And it also influences social interactions. So if you're around someone that makes you feel good and makes you feel happy, your anterior cingulate cortex would make memory of that. But in the same way, if it's someone that's caused you pain, whether it be physical pain or emotional pain, it would also register that. So social interactions, that's why you will know who to stay away from and who you want to be around. And then following it around to the hippocampus, it basically sends messages to the hippocampus, and this is where learning and memory take place. So this is where you learn, this is not the person I want to be around, and you have a memory around that. So when you see them, sometimes those thoughts come flooding back. Sometimes those feelings and emotions come flooding back. And then from the hippocampus, it goes up to the prefrontal cortex. So this is where motivation and executive function takes place. So from the learning of that pain, you then have a motivation to either stay away from or to fight back against. Yeah, this is why people get into arguments and stuff like that when someone says something that hurts them. The motivation is to get their own back or to stand up for themselves. Yeah, and that's where executive function comes from. And then that floats back up to the anterior cingulate cortex, which then has an effect, selective attention, and then a social interaction will take place. But then from that, following the red line going down, it then sends messages to the amygdala. And the amygdala is like the fire alarm of the brain. Okay, so where emotional stress and learning takes place. And so the amygdala then sends out an alarm, sends out this warning, this is harmful, this is dangerous, this is, be wary of this person. And there is a learning that comes with that. That's why people learn to, or know to be wary of someone or to stay away from a particular individual or situation. But then the amygdala then sends messages to the hippocampus. And these two, so this is what's known as the emotional part of the brain. These two have a very strong connection. The hippocampus is kind of like the hard drive. So learning and memories are stored there. And because there's such a strong connection between these two, this is what can keep people stuck and feeling the pain of what has happened or what has taken place, especially the emotional pain. And then the hippocampus will then send it back up. And then that's why there's that repeated thing. So this is why pain can continuously be remembered. This is why when it comes down to the anniversary of a bereavement or something, why that pain can continuously re-trigger itself. And so it's important for us to understand how the brain works, and even more importantly, why certain types of things that we would say, well, how comes I haven't gotten over this? How comes this thing is still holding me? How comes that thing they said 7, 10, 15 years ago is still holding me back? This is why. And so it's really important that we learn and recognize that for some of these things, it is time to let go and be free. So, discussion points for today, we will be looking at Atlas. So, in terms of for you, how has it been for you? Do you feel like sometimes you are carrying the world on your shoulders? Do you feel like there's some things that you haven't accepted and that you need to accept? Is there some areas where you're talking up and some areas where you're not talking up and you need to actually pass things back to people? What has been your learning over, just say, the last few months in terms of this? COVID-19 has helped us to learn and recognize what's really important. What do we really need to hold on to? What kind of actions has it brought up for you that you may need to take so that you can succeed? And the second area is around, sometimes it hurts to hold on, but, we need to let go. And, what is it that, for yourself, what you feel okay with sharing about? What is it that some of the stuff that you may need to let go of? Is it letting go of the past? Is it letting go of where you failed previously? Is it letting go of things that people have said? And then finally, it's about freeing yourself from all the voices of how, entertainment and media says that you should be. Free yourself from the voices of maybe what a teacher said to you in the past. Freeing yourself of the voices of your inner critic that keeps telling you can't do it. And, so it's really important that we look at these areas.